Hello, everybody. This is the Cannabis News on 420 Post. I am Rick Thompson. Let's get started. What to do with all that hemp? It's a question on the minds of many Michiganders as they wrap up their crops for this year and begin to plan next year's planting. Europe's hemp market is far more mature than America's market, so what's the future the Euros are racing toward? Steve Allen of Ireland's hemp flax company was recently interviewed by Hemp Industry Daily. He points to successes in European hemp building materials companies as the wave of the future. He claims the hemp industry is over-reliant on CBD crops, which discourages fiber and biomass processors from entering the market. Allen calls hemp grown for CBD production neutered marijuana. Now, by using cannabis building materials as a value-added product line, hemp farmers can encourage processors to invest in Michigan. As an example, ISO Hemp started out as a small local company making hempcrete from local hemp farmers. Government noticed and upped their production to 1 million hempcrete blocks per year, but today the company produces 7 million blocks every single year. Allen says France has probably the largest number of hemp construction sites, while the UK has the greatest diversity of projects. Well, let's keep looking at those mature markets to see what ails Michigan's cannabis industries. Canada looks a lot like Michigan's marketplace. Recreational sales there have continued to improve every month, and medical cannabis has hardly suffered because of it. Medical cannabis customer base has dropped only 4.8% since rec sales began in Canada. Still, according to Matt Limmers, international editor at Marijuana Business Daily, quote, market leaders are struggling to rein in massive losses. Now, why is that? Lammers says the most important reason big players struggle is they blame regulators, lawmakers, and the unregulated market for their troubles. Instead of complaining, Lammers says businesses should stay focused and compete where business is allowed to compete. The other major factor in the financial hardship seen by Canadian mega cannabis companies is, again to quote, an executive level fixation, not on customers, but on investors, end quote. That focus created massive overinvestment in huge greenhouses and pretty indoor retail space for investor satisfaction, not for industry necessity or because of retail functionality. The result is what Lammers describes as Canadians, quote, essentially trying to slash and burn their way to profitability with dwindling cash reserves, end quote. He describes giant Canadian companies as in survival mode, while smaller players who grew their businesses responsibly now sense opportunity to grab up the assets being shed by overgrown mega corporations. Now, not to beat a Canuck when he's down, but in a second story, Canada is being accused of providing protectionism for their cannabis industry in contradiction to international law. The facts are that Canada exported about 1,300 gallons of cannabis oil and about 8,200 pounds of cannabis flower in 2019, but they imported virtually nothing. Their main export targets were Israel and the European Union nations. The no imports policy has caused several investors to close down their operations in Jamaica, causing financial losses on that island nation, and that has inspired Jamaican authorities to plan a formal appeal to Canadian officials. Well, there's another more mature market paving the way for Michigan to follow along. That's California, specifically regarding cannabis tourism. The California Travel Association, known as Cal Travel, is partnering with the California Cannabis Travel Association to create a committee dedicated to cannabis tourism in the state, and that'll help industry stakeholders take advantage of the opportunities presented by tourism. Now, this is an important alliance. The Cal Travel Group represents all the travel industry assets in the state, things like airports, resorts, attractions, transportation companies, and all the other travel-related businesses. Now, final story for today. You heard me talk during the cannabis news about the Bay Mills Indian community and their plans to develop a standalone cannabis industry on tribal lands near Sault Ste. Marie. That plan is becoming a reality. This fall, the Bay Mills Group will launch the Northern Lights Cannabis Company at their location on the corner of I-75 and M28, very busy place. Although it will take the tribe about 18 months to produce their own cannabis for market, they'll be selling Michigan-grown cannabis in the meantime. Now, this is brand new. The news just broke 2 hours ago. And here's a quote. The Bay Mills facility will operate under similar regulations to the state of Michigan in terms of safety, testing, and control standards. During the pandemic, curbside service will be available, and in the future, plans include a tasting room, social club, and destination cannabis events. Best of luck to you, Bay Mills. I'm Rick Thompson. This is Cannabis News on 420 Post. Thanks for listening, everyone.